Will the House please come to order and members kindly take their seats? Good afternoon. The devotional today will be led by Representative Daisy Berbecco of Winooski.
Good afternoon. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and every May since 1949, people have observed Mental Health Awareness Month and been educating people, been providing support, and working together to fight stigma around mental illness. I joined this fight around 2010 when I spent the following decade approximately working in Washington, advocating on behalf of mental health providers and people with mental health conditions and addictions. When I came to Vermont, there was clearly one person who had been behind the integrated and holistic system that Vermont has and continues to improve upon every day. And that person was Representative Donahue. She's still such a prominent figure and someone that guides many of us in this field. So when it came to Mental Health Awareness Month, I really wanted her thoughts, and I'm really honored that she allowed me to share them with you all today. I want to thank Representative Berbecco for inviting me to share this devotional in honor of National Mental Health Awareness Month. For many years, before it got too tattered, I had a bumper sticker that read, "Sanity, a renewable resource." What an apt description. However one might define it, we all struggle with fluctuations in our levels of sanity. Mental health is not a steady state for anyone, any more than we can predict or know when some other aspect of the stuff we're made of hits a stone on the side of the road. The recent past weeks have been a stark reminder to me of the fragility of life. When a blood vessel bursts in your brain without warning, you have no control over the events that chart the course towards survival as we make that journey that we call life. But the awareness we need to hold for Mental Health Awareness Month is that sanity is always renewable, always recoverable, always a part of the human experience that can be restored. And the ways to renew it are the same at any level: human connection. Many years ago at an airport, I missed a connecting flight. I hadn't slept well for several days, and it was the last straw at a time when I was still very vulnerable to my own mental illness. I completely fell apart, huddled on a bench crying. A gentleman came up to me and pointed out his wife sitting nearby, and he said, "We noticed you were having a tough time. Is there something we can do to help? Would you let us know?" I snapped at him, "Leave me alone." He, no doubt, went on with his life, thinking no more about it other than a brief regret that he hadn't been able to help me. But he had helped immeasurably. It was like a warm human embrace around me. Someone noticed and someone cared, and I'll never forget and have gratitude for it. I haven't to this day. Our communities of human connection, the God mystery that is called forth when we act as a community of love, can function without ever knowing the impact of our words and our deeds. But if kindness is our watchword, it can always be on the side of a caring community of support, building our resources against the world's insanity. It renews us both in receiving and in giving. The next time you see someone who's struggling against the cross currents of sanity, put aside your fear of being intrusive or of violating some social construct. That social construct that says that mental health is strange and different from any other health. Act as though you saw them twist an ankle and fall, or found out that they had the flu, or that they had a brain aneurysm burst. Reach out as one member of the human community to another to give them a word of hope and support. Remember that sanity is a fragile resource within each of us, but it's always renewable. Happy Mental Health Awareness Month, Representative Donahue.
Members, we have a Senate bill for referral today. Senate Bill 329 is an act relating to criminal procedures involving firearms, introduced by Senator Baruth. Please listen to the first reading of the bill.
S 329, an act relating to criminal procedures involving firearms.
Now the bill's been read the first time and is referred to the Committee on Judiciary. Members, we have two bills on the notice calendar requiring referral to a money committee pursuant to House Rule 35A. Both of these bills carry an appropriation and therefore are referred to the Committee on Appropriations. They are Senate Bill 323, which is an act relating to miscellaneous agricultural subjects, and Senate Bill 326, which is an act relating to miscellaneous amendments to laws relating to motor vehicles. In addition, earlier today, the Committee on Government Operations and Military Affairs reported favorable with amendment on Senate Bill 278, which is an act relating to cannabis affecting the revenue of the state. The bill is referred to the Committee on Ways and Means pursuant to House Rule 35A, pending its entry on the notice calendar. Members, we have a joint Senate resolution to take up at this time. JRS 53 is a joint resolution relating to weekend adjournment on May 15th, 2026. It was offered by Senator Baruth and was read and adopted on the part of the Senate. Please listen to the reading of the resolution.
JRS 53, joint resolution relating to weekend adjournment on May 15, 2026. Resolved by the Senate and House of Representatives that when the two houses adjourn on Friday, May 15, 2026, it be to meet again no later than Tuesday, May 19, 2026.
Now you've heard the reading of the resolution, and the question is, shall the House adopt the resolution in concurrence? Are you ready for the question? If so, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it, and the resolution is adopted in concurrence. Members, we have received a request to read a House concurrent resolution that the House and Senate adopted pursuant to the consent calendar. HCR 284 is a House concurrent resolution honoring former Senate Majority Leader and Department of State's Attorneys and Sheriff's Executive Director, John F. Campbell, for his outstanding public service career. Please listen to the reading of the resolution.
Whereas, upon graduating from the University of Florida, John Campbell joined the Broward County Sheriff's Office as a patrol officer. And whereas, after experiencing the rough and tumble of hands-on law enforcement, he opted for a potentially more sedate work environment, graduating from what today is Nova Southeastern University Shepherd Broad College of Law. And whereas, upon heeding the call to go north, young man, and relocating to Windsor County, he practiced as a private attorney. And whereas in 2000, John Campbell successfully stood for a Windsor County Senate seat and served continuously until 2016, including several terms as the respected Senate Majority Leader. And whereas in 2016, he became the Department of State's Attorneys and Sheriff's Executive Director, and in that role was a decisive and thoughtful leader. And whereas under his guidance, the department improved its administrative support in all 14 counties. And whereas, although charged with being the state's attorney's and sheriff's advocate, John Campbell did not shy away from criticizing severe professional misconduct. And he enthusiastically supported an ultimately unsuccessful legislative effort to impose new accountability for these elected county officials in the belief that Vermonters deserve the best from their public servants. And whereas, reflecting on his quarter of a century in state government, John Campbell is most proud of his 2009 co-lead sponsorship of S-115, for which he successfully fought to override a gubernatorial veto to establish marriage equality in Vermont. And his lead sponsorship in 2015 of S-31, a broad gun control measure that, among other provisions, would have mandated a federal background check on all Vermont gun sales. And whereas John Campbell has concluded his state government career to pursue his passion to paint works of art, now therefore be it resolved by the Senate and House of Representatives that the General Assembly honors former Senate Majority Leader and Department of State's Attorneys and Sheriffs Executive Director, John F. Campbell, for his outstanding public service career. And be it further resolved that the Secretary of State be directed to send a copy of this resolution to John F. Campbell.
Are there any announcements? Member from Vergennes.
Madam Speaker, members, it's an honor today to rise in recognition of former Senate President Pro Tem John Campbell. Titles like that carry weight in this building, but anyone who has spent time with John knows that what truly defined his leadership was not the title he held, but the way he carried it. Some leaders are remembered for the bills they passed, some for what they said. John will be most remembered for how he made people feel and how he managed to make us laugh along the way. Behind the role was a person of deep humanity. John brought humor into rooms that needed it most, often at the exact right moment and never at someone else's expense. He had a way of putting people at ease, of reminding us that even in the middle of hard debates, we were still colleagues, still neighbors, still Vermonters trying to do our best. That sense of humanity was matched by deep empathy. John had a genuine instinct to listen, especially to those who might not otherwise go unheard. He didn't just hear people, he made the room for them. Whether someone came to him with influence or without it, they were treated with the same respect and attention. That is not always the case or the easiest path in public life, but it is the one he chose again and again. As a Senate leader, John faced some of the most difficult and controversial issues to come before the State House. He understood that leadership is not about doing what is easy or even what is popular in the moment. It is about doing what is right. And time again, he chose the harder path when he believed it was the better one. That kind of courage leaves a mark, not just on policy, but on this institution itself. And of course, those of us who have worked with John know there's another side of him as well. There's a certain unpredictability, a tendency perhaps to just be a little distractible, a willingness to follow a thought or a story or a moment of humor wherever it might lead, and yet somehow those moments never detracted from his leadership. They managed to enhance it. They remind us not to take ourselves too seriously, and that a bit of goofiness can go a long way in a place like this. When you put all of that together, his humor, his empathy, his willingness to stand up for the underdog, and his courage to take on hard issues, you begin to see the full picture of his legacy. John Campbell did more than help shape policy in Vermont. He helped shape a culture of this building, and he made it a little kinder, a little more thoughtful, and a lot more human. Today we recognize not just a public servant, but a colleague, a mentor, and a friend to many. We're grateful for his years of service, for the example he set, and for the way he reminded all of us what leadership can look like at its best. Though he didn't recently retire from the legislature, as I prepare for my retirement from this position, I wanted to take a time to honor one of the people who had a great impact on my service here in the State House. Madam Speaker, members, please join me in recognizing someone I consider a true state treasure.
Will the guest of the member from Vergennes please rise and be recognized? Are there any further announcements? Member from Burlington.
Today is the day, and y'all showed up and showed out. Thank you so much for all of your contributions to the diaper drive. This event, just a reminder, is running through the Vermont Family Readiness Program with support from the Vermont Chamber and our very own Vermont National Guard and Veterans Affairs Caucus, focusing on supporting families in our communities who are navigating the challenges of deployment. I wanted to welcome somebody to the chamber today who is behind this effort, and that is Sergeant First Class Jessie Smith. She serves with the Vermont Air National Guard. She's the Yellow Ribbon Coordinator, the State Soldier and Family Readiness Group Leader, and she is in the balcony. Please join me in welcoming her to the chamber.
Will the guest of the member from Burlington please rise and be recognized? Are there any further announcements? Member from Rutland City.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'd like to welcome a constituent and a present alderman for Rutland City, along with many other things. Bill Gillum is in the house. Please help us welcome him.
Will the guest member from Rutland City please rise and be recognized? Member from Barrytown.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. My seatmate and I are honored to welcome and recognize a guest in the chamber today who is truly deserving of this body's appreciation and respect, Norma Malone. For more than 2 decades, Norma has devoted herself to public service on behalf of Barrytown and the state of Vermont. Her record of service is remarkable, and not only for its length, but for the dedication, discipline, and excellence she brought to every role she accepted. Last week, Norma attended her final meeting as chair of the Barrytown Select Board, concluding 8 years of service on the board. In those 8 years, she never missed a single meeting, perfect attendance throughout her entire tenure. Norma served 9 years in the Barrytown Budget Committee and chaired the committee for 8 of those years. Once again, she never missed a meeting. She helped craft budgets that were fiscally responsible while ensuring town employees had the equipment, staffing, and resources necessary to meet the needs of Barrytown residents. Norma also served on the District 5 Act 250 Environmental Commission, helping ensure development in the state within the guidelines of Act 250. She dedicated years of service to public education through the Barry Unified Union School District Board and the Spalding High School Board of Directors, where she also served 7 years, 5 years as chair. Among her many accomplishments, one stands out as a lasting legacy for generations of students. Norma helped establish the Spalding High School Scholarship Trust, a public charity dedicated to supporting the educational and career goals of graduates of Spalding High School and the Central Vermont Career Center. Since its founding in 2014, she has served on the Board of Trustees. Today, this trust oversees approximately $8.5 million in managed funds, and this year alone will award more than $450,000 to scholarships to graduating seniors. Norma's attention to detail is legendary. She misses nothing. Whether it is a typo, a math calculation, or language that is not quite right, Norma will find it. Many of us who have worked with her have benefited from her sharp eye, thoughtful judgment, and steady leadership. I can say personally, I am a better select board member and a better legislator because of Norma Malone. My seatmate sitting next to me was proofreading my communication here before we went on and wanted to make sure that I put we are better legislators than just I. I do have one regret regarding Norma's years of public service. I don't know if it's her regret, but it is mine, that she never served in this chamber or in the body next door. Because if she had, she would have accomplished something every one of us wants to accomplish when we're here, and that is make a difference. When I asked Norma what inspired her commitment to public service, she spoke about her oldest son, who enlisted in the Army at age 17 and was on to serve 23 years on active duty. Norma said, "I believe everyone has a responsibility to serve others within their capacity. My son's service has been on a global level. Mine has been at the local level. Each of us has something unique to offer. That belief that each of us has something unique to offer to service of others defines Norma's life and legacy. On behalf of this body, thank you, Norma. Thank you for your extraordinary service to Barrytown, to Vermont, and to the countless people whose lives are better because of your dedication." With us today, honoring Norma, is Selectman Bob Nelson, recently elected Board Member Tracy Ennis, and the Town Manager Chris Violet. Madam Speaker, please ask the body to help me welcome Norma Malone, a true public servant.
Will the guest of the member from Barrytown please rise and be recognized? Are there any further announcements? Member from Brattleboro.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Tomorrow will be our last Climate Solutions Caucus meeting. We will have a presentation on energy affordability and reducing energy costs, very timely topics, and we will also be serving pizza. So I hope you can join us. Thank you.
Are there any further announcements? Member from Heinsberg.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'd like to remind everyone of your invite to the Montpelier Transit Center from 4:30 to 6:30, and I think we'll be out in time to get to that. The Transportation for Vermont and VNRC will be honoring a member of this body who asked not to be named, but the representative from Brattleboro will be recognized for her 18 years of service.
Are there any further announcements? Seeing none, orders of the day. Members, we have an update on the bill order on our calendar today. We will start with Proposal 4, Prop 4, and the next bill on the calendar is S212. We will be taking that up last. So the first bill will be Proposal 4, and then we'll move down the calendar to S243 down. With that, members, we begin with Proposal 4, which is a proposed amendment to the Constitution of the State of Vermont, providing for equality of rights. Pursuant to Chapter 2, Section 72 of the Vermont Constitution, we are now in the second biennium of consideration of this constitutional proposal. This biennium, the Senate adopted the constitutional proposal in concurrence with the preceding General Assembly. And by the Vermont Constitution, in order for this constitutional proposal to be submitted to the voters of the state at the 2026 general election, the House must also adopt this constitutional proposal in concurrence this biennium by a majority of the House, which means a majority of a House quorum. Pursuant to House Rule 51A, Proposal 4 was referred to the Committee on Judiciary, which held a public hearing on this proposal. And the committee recommends that the constitutional proposal be adopted in concurrence. The member from Burlington, Representative Rachelson, will speak for the committee. Please listen to the reading of the constitutional proposal.
Section 1, Purpose. A, this proposal would amend the Constitution of the State of Vermont to specify that the government must not deny equal treatment under the law on account of a person's race, ethnicity, sex, religion, disability, sexual orientation, gender identity, gender expression, or national origin. The Constitution is our founding legal document stating the overarching values of our society. This amendment is in keeping with the values espoused by the current Vermont Constitution. Chapter 1, Article 1 declares that all persons are born equally free and independent and have certain natural, inherent, and unalienable rights. Chapter 1, Article 7 states that government is or ought to be instituted for the common benefit, protection, and security of the people. The core value reflected in Article 7 is that all people should be afforded all the benefits and protections bestowed by the government, and that the government should not confer special advantages upon the privileged. This amendment would expand upon the principles of equality and liberty by ensuring that the government does not create or perpetuate the legal, social, or economic inferiority of any class of people. This proposed constitutional amendment is not intended to limit the scope of rights and protections afforded by any other provision in the Vermont Constitution. B, providing for equality of rights as a fundamental principle in the Constitution would serve as a foundation for protecting the rights and dignity of historically marginalized populations and addressing existing inequalities. This amendment would reassert the broad principles of personal liberty and equality reflected in the Constitution of the State of Vermont with authority, force, longevity, and symbolic importance. Section 2. Article 23 of Chapter 1 of the Vermont Constitution is added to read, Article 23, Equality of Rights, that the people are guaranteed equal protection under the law. The state shall not deny equal treatment under the law on account of a person's race, ethnicity, sex, religion, disability, sexual orientation, gender identity, gender expression, or national origin. Nothing in this article shall be interpreted or applied to prevent the adoption or implementation of measures intended to provide equality of treatment and opportunity for members of groups that have historically been subject to discrimination. Section 3, effective date. The amendment set forth in Section 2 shall become a part of the Constitution of the State of Vermont on the first Tuesday after the first Monday of November 2026, when ratified and adopted by the people of this state in accordance with the provisions of 17 VSA Chapter 32.
Member from Burlington.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Prop 4 is entitled Declaration of Rights, Government for the People, Equality of Rights, and if voted favorably by a majority of Vermonters in November, would put a clear equal protection guarantee in the Vermont Constitution. Since Prop 4 is a constitutional amendment and not a bill proposal, the rules and process are very different. I want to take a few minutes to explain how a constitutional amendment process works in Vermont. Amendments to the Vermont Constitution must be proposed in the Senate and only every other biennium. Proposed amendments must pass the Senate by a 2/3 vote. No changes can be made by the House, and it must pass the House by a majority vote. If all that successfully occurs, the very same proposed amendment must then be approved again in the next biennium, again starting in the Senate before going to the House. It must pass each House without any changes by a simple majority vote. If it passes the second biennium, it is then placed on the next November general election to be ratified by Vermont voters. Prop 4 began its journey in the Senate in 2024. It passed unanimously out of the Senate Judiciary Committee of a vote of 5-0-0 and the full Senate with a vote of 29-0. It then passed out of the House Judiciary Committee on a vote of 11-0-0 and went on to the House floor and passed on a vote of 140-4. This biennium, Prop 4 unanimously passed the Senate Judiciary with a vote of 5-0-0 and went on to unanimously pass the full Senate on a vote of 29-0. It then returned to the House, where Prop 4 was sent to the House Judiciary Committee and passed the Judiciary Committee and now is up for a vote by the full House. Today, we have a rare and special opportunity to vote to put Prop 4 on the ballot in November for all Vermonters to get to decide its future. We don't often get to give all of our constituents the opportunity to weigh in on what we vote on and what we work on. Over 26 states have adopted equal rights or equal protection provisions in their constitutions. Prop 4 would bring Vermont in line with that long-standing constitutional tradition, and most importantly, give Vermonters a critical constitutional protection. I will now do a walkthrough of Prop 4, which starts on page 2736 of today's calendar. Section 1 states the purpose of the amendment. It's important to note up front that this section will not appear in the Constitution or on the ballot. Think of it as a legislative purpose section of a bill. It provides guidance as to the General Assembly's intent, but does not hold the same force and effect as the language that would be added to the ballot measure or the Constitution. This section starts by restating the idea that the government must not deny equal protection under the law on account of a person's race, ethnicity, sex, religion, disability, sexual orientation, gender identity, gender expression, or national origin. Section 2 is the part that would actually be added to our Constitution and that would appear on the ballot before the voters. It has 3 sentences, which I will take one by one. The first is this, that the people are guaranteed equal protection under the law. The concept of equal protection has a long history in our legal system. It was first stated explicitly in our federal Constitution with the ratification of the 14th Amendment. Since then, it has become the basis of so many of the landmark decisions that are the heart of that promise first made in the Declaration of Independence, that we all are created equal. These are cases that we all know. Brown versus Board of Education, Loving versus Virginia, Griswold versus Connecticut, and more. Cases that have shaped our society to be more equal. These cases are the foundation of modern America, and their foundation is the Equal Protection Clause. It may be natural to ask at this point, if the federal Constitution already has such a clause, why do we need it? There are several simple answers. First, the federal Constitution represents a floor, not a ceiling of rights. It shows us the minimum we can do, not the maximum. Therefore, it's important that Vermont develop its own jurisprudence regarding equal protection and not simply rely on the one found in our federal Constitution. States are afforded the right to provide additional protections and laws as long as they do not violate the United States Constitution. The second sentence is, the state shall not deny equal treatment under the law on account of a person's race, ethnicity, sex, religion, disability, sexual orientation, gender identity, gender expression, or national origin. This sentence is a departure from the federal Constitution, which has no such enumerated protections. The characteristics mentioned in this sentence are often referred to as protected classes. Specific characteristics that we have learned are often the basis of discrimination. In short, what we are saying is that the government may not treat people differently on account of one of these characteristics, and to do so is unconstitutional. These protected classes are tried and true delineations supported by case law and statutory protections throughout our country and in our state. On a side note, last biennium, our committee consulted with our legislative counsel to determine if a closed list would exclude people being discriminated against for other reasons not on the list. And we felt very satisfied with what we learned. Legislative counsel provided case law to support the notion that courts may and have applied the protections of an Equal Rights Amendment more widely than the closed list would indicate. And I had the chance to reconfirm this with our legislative counsel today. The third sentence reads, nothing in this article shall be interpreted or applied to prevent the adoption or implementation of measures intended to provide equality of treatment and opportunity for members of groups that have had historically been subject to discrimination. This sentence clarifies that measures included those adopted in legislation that reduced discrimination would be permitted under Vermont's Constitution. And finally, Section 3 is the effective date and reads, The amendment set forth in Section 2 shall become a part of the Constitution of the State of Vermont on the first Tuesday after the first Monday of November 2026, when ratified and adopted by the people of the state in accordance with the provisions of 17 VSA Chapter 32. Proposal 4 would add new language to the Vermont Constitution, saying that every Vermonter has the right to be treated with dignity and fairness, and that the state cannot discriminate against people based on their based on race, sex, gender, identity, national origin, disability, religion, age, or sexual orientation. It makes these protections constitutional rather than statutory. In addition to holding a public hearing, your House Judiciary Committee heard from the following witnesses: the Legislative Council in the Office of Legislative Counsel, the Executive Director of the Vermont Racial Justice Alliance, the Executive Director of the Vermont Commission on Women, a policy analyst with the Vermont Family Alliance, and the pastor of the Good Shepherd Lutheran Church. Vermont's Constitution is its overriding and founding document. What is in it and what isn't says a great deal about Vermont and our values. The lack of an equal protection clause speaks volumes. Over 26 states have equal protection clauses. People have worked for years to have such a clause in our state, and it is time for us to join the over 26 states that have equal protection clauses. Utah and Wyoming have had such provisions since the 1890s, when their state constitutions were first adopted. Most states added equal rights amendments to their constitutions in the 1970s during the push for the ratification for the Federal Equal Rights Amendment, while a handful adopted them in the decades since. And several, as I mentioned, including Utah and Wyoming, when their state constitutions were first adopted. Prop 4 is a structural modernization, not a symbolic gesture. It responds to documented inequities with a constitutional framework that strengthens judicial review and ensures durable protections for future generations. Today is a chance to enshrine our Constitution, an important component that has been sorely lacking for too long. The ideal that equal protection of the laws extends to all people. The idea that everyone, regardless of who they are, deserve equal treatment by their government. Your House Judiciary Committee vote was 8-3-0 in favor of this constitutional proposal, and we ask for the body's support. Prop 4 gives Vermonters the chance to vote on clear constitutional promise of equal protection. And due to the significance of a proposed constitutional amendment, we request that the vote be taken by roll. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The member from Burlington requests that when the vote is taken, it be taken by rolls. The member sustained. The member is sustained. When the vote is taken, it will be taken by roll. The question is, shall the House adopt the constitutional proposal in concurrence? Are you ready for the question? Member from West Windsor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. We have done a lot of memorable things in the 6 years I've held this seat. We can truly be tremendously proud of. And there are certainly moments that I will carry with me forever when I leave this body at the end of my term. One of those moments is now, when after 4 years we vote on whether to let all Vermonters decide whether we choose to let equal rights stand as one of our foundational precepts. The notion that our state doesn't already affirm equal protection and treatment under the law reveals a profound and common disconnect between which of our protections are foundational, which are assumed, and which may merely be temporal. Yes, we have statutes that provide certain protections. But during my time here in this State House, I have watched lawmakers repeatedly fail to ask who is being left out when we draft new laws. Too often, we do not ask who benefits, whether a bill creates more equitable and just systems for all Vermonters, or whether it may impose disparate harms on underrepresented communities. And yet we say the harmony of liberty exists because it is written into statute, as though that alone is sufficient. But we know better. We know laws can be political at their roots, contain gaps that cause harm, create unfair advantages, or be implemented in ways that betray the spirit in which they were written. We know this because we make the sausage. And as Vermonters ourselves, we know the process as well as how the results play out in communities. Many Vermonters learn early that rights in practice are often unevenly distributed or applied according to whether those around them deem their humanity worthy of recognition and respect. That is not how liberty ought to function. We cannot allow the aspirational promise of equality to overshadow our pains to make it indelible. This constitutional amendment makes it a foundational obligation. It establishes at its very base what the state is forbidden to do and what it is bound to uphold. Rights that depend upon the goodwill of a temporary majority are not rights at all. They're privileges, and privileges can be revoked unexpectedly and wholesale. Equality affirmed in a state constitution is more secure, more durable, and more evenly protected. It rejects the diminishment of anyone's rights. And so the true issue before us is whether Vermonters are prepared to transform the ideal of equality into a legal, moral, and civic obligation. The purpose of constitutionally equal protection and treatment is to officially restrain the impulse to turn difference into parenthetical hierarchy. It rejects evasion of the question of who is being left out. It says clearly that a person's humanity cannot be reduced by prejudice or custom or political convenience. It codifies equality as the norm. This is not and should not be controversial. Prop 4 is an expression of faith in a future Vermont that refuses to place conditions on human dignity. And if we vote to affirm that principle plainly, formally, and in the very Constitution, it will earn us the solid and even ground on which Vermonters can stand together shoulder to shoulder. And I ask this body to join me in voting in the affirmative. Thank you.
The question is, shall the House adopt the constitutional proposal in concurrence? Are you ready for the question? Member from Stowe.
Madam Speaker, I rise to support this constitutional amendment, and I want to thank the reporter for bringing up some of the history of this issue in the state of Wyoming. And it brings me back to a very dark time when I was raising my 3 sons. There were 2 horrific crimes that occurred around the turn of this last century. One was a black man was picked up in Texas who had a flat tire. Pickup truck pulled by and attempted to convince this person they were going to help him out, but they didn't. They beat him, they chained his body to the bumper of their truck, and they dragged him to his death. And it was within a few months from that point, out in the state of Wyoming, a gay man was picked up in a bar room and carried out. It was frigid cold. He was beaten, not to death, but he was tied onto a barbed wire fence, bitter cold, died. These are two examples of horrific violations of human rights. They are examples of bigotry and racism and cruelty, which does exist. So I laud the supporter and reporter of this resolution for the fact that we have not arrived as a society, as a human species, to have enough kindness. And if we need state or constitutional support to protect all people, I vote yes. And I urge the body to vote yes.
The question is, shall the House adopt the constitutional proposal in concurrence? Are you ready for the question? Member from Burlington.
Madam Speaker, I just want to point out that it says constitutional amendment in the calendar, not constitutional amendment, and I don't know if there's a process just to correct. It sounds really petty, but and nitpicky, but I noticed it when I was reading.
Will the House please stand in recess for a moment? Will the House please come to order and members kindly take your seat? I'm going to take that as a point of inquiry, and it is a spelling error, but that does not have an impact on the vote or procedure. Are you ready for the question? Member from Burlington.
Speaker, I rise in support of Proposal 4 because this is a moment when states must step forward to defend civil rights and democratic values that are increasingly under attack at the federal level. Across the country, we are watching hard-fought rights rolled back, protections weakened, and entire communities made to feel less safe, less equal, and less seen under the law. In that environment, Vermont has a responsibility not simply to say what we believe, but to enshrine those beliefs in our Constitution. Proposal 4 affirms the principle that government exists for the people and that every Vermonter is entitled to equal rights under the law. Constitutional amendments are rare. We should use them to protect the foundational values of a free and democratic society. At a time of growing division and democratic backsliding nationally, this amendment declares clearly that Vermont will remain committed to equality, dignity, and government accountable to the people. I urge the body to support Proposal 4.
Member from Morristown.
Madam Speaker, I was going to share some stories, but I will defer on the harsh realities that this constitutional amendment has impacts on. But I will share the sentiments of them and say, it is 2026, and we live in a Vermont where neighbors and people don't see the humanity of their others. And I will say that with the experiences that my children, myself, my neighbors have experienced. I'll save you the gore. This is not a moment of abstraction. This is not about special rights, partisan politics, or ideology. It concerns democracy, integrity, and the dignity of all people. It is about whether fairness under the law will remain dependent on the shifting federal culture and doctrine. Across the country, we are watching in real time as long-time standing civil rights and protections are weakened and rolled back and reinterpreted in ways that leave too many people vulnerable. Prop 4 meets this moment. It does not create new values. It affirms who we have always said we are, that all people are born equally, free, and that the government exists for the benefit of all people, not just some. By placing equal protections explicitly in our Constitution, we move from promise to action, from principle to protection. This is about clarity. This is about equity and equality. This is about precedent and ensuring that no Vermonter's rights, depending on the shifting politics or uncertain interpretation, exist. The time is now. The need is real. The responsibility is ours. I will be voting yes. And if other people value humans and their right to liberty and freedom and fairness and justice, I encourage you all to vote yes as well.
The question is, shall the House adopt the constitutional proposal in concurrence? Are you ready for the question? If so, the member from Bennington.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm just going to share a story. And actually, the member from Stowe made me realize that I probably should tell this story. My great-grandfather, my grandpa Greer, he was a county commissioner in Texas for 12 years, from 1969 to 1981, about an hour away from where James Byrd Jr. was dragged down a country road, chained up, and that was about, I forget the timeline of that, but I'll stick to the story. He was elected in 1969, which was just a few short years after the Civil Rights Act and Voting Rights Act was passed by Congress. He was a Democrat through and through, but at that time, he was a minority among his political colleagues that he served with. He believed in equality. He did not come into an upbringing in Louisiana that supported equality of gender, of race, or even of religion. He barely got a partial high school education before he dropped out of school to go to work. It was through those early formative years where he got out of his surroundings and worked with people that he may never have been exposed to in his small rural county. When he decided to raise a family and set up a country store, he bought a home and he bought a truck to deliver groceries. And he would take those groceries around, and at the time, he was the only white man in that county that delivered groceries to Black families. Sorry. He would get into arguments with his neighbors about this unusual practice at the time, and he would just simply say, they got to eat too. He began to build up courage as he grew older. When he first ran for office, desegregation was a big topic in local politics in Texas. Many local governments were tasked with how to break down barriers, and many were aimed at keeping things the way they had always been. And his court at the time was no exception. He started slowly with working individually with businesses and negotiating with schools and other institutions, rather than slamming down the book, even though he knew what was right in his heart. And he also knew that others weren't in the same heart or mind as him. And that was tough for him to process. And it wasn't until my dad was 11 years old in 1980 that the doctor's office patient room finally was desegregated in his county, 15 years after federal law was adopted. Proposal 4 may just be words on a ballot that will be added to our state constitution. One could make that argument to reduce its significance, but I don't think there are many that will. But what it's doing is reaffirming that we are committed to equality and protecting every Vermonter's rights. And today, during our lunch break, I called my grandmother on her birthday. She just turned 76. And when I told her I was going to mention Grandpa on the floor, About Proposal 4, she said in her little Southern accent, which she's originally from Ohio, so she inherited that, grew on her. She said, well, I'll be. And I know what that means. She's proud to know that while we're talking about enshrining equality in our Constitution, that I thought about the foundational people like Grandpa who laid the work so that we could all live together as one. And a few months ago, I came out to my grandmother, not by choice, and I asked her what Grandpa would have thought about me being gay, because I knew he was very religious. He was a Southern Baptist, and my great-grandmother was a Pentecostal. And she said, I can tell you without a doubt that no religion could come between him and his great-grandbaby. And I never met him, but I believe her. I'm carrying his spirit with me today, knowing that he unfortunately had to spend so much of his life fighting prejudice and discrimination. So with that, Madam Speaker, I look forward to supporting Proposal 4, and I hope others join me as well.
Member from Whitingham.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Equal protection is often an implied right. It's an assumed right. Proposition 4 gives us the opportunity to make it a solid, stated right in the state of Vermont. And as we've heard, it is incredibly important to acknowledge that this is about all Vermonters. This is not special protection for particular groups. This is about all of us. And as we all know here, our freedom is not free. It's something that's worked for. It is something that is fought for, and it's something that deserves our protection. As we witness every day a federal partnership that makes our jobs harder, this is something that will help make Vermont safer.
Are you ready for the question? If so, will the clerk please call the roll?
Arsenault of Williston.
2 minutes. Will the House please come to order and members kindly take their seats? Will the House please come to order? I would like to remind members that we are in the middle of a roll call vote. Members and guests are prohibited from using computers, phones, or any type of electronic device. Please refrain from the passing of notes and conversation during a roll call. And when the clerk calls your name, please answer in a loud and clear voice so the clerk can accurately record your votes. The question is, shall the House adopt the constitutional proposal in concurrence? Will the clerk please continue to call the roll?
Austin of Colchester. Bailey of Hyde Park. Bartholomew of Heartland. Bartley of Fairfax. Rebecca of Winooski. Byrong of Regents. Bishop of Colchester. Black of Essex. Lumley of Burlington. Boslin of Westminster. Bosch of Clarendon. Boonton of Berry City. Boyden of Cambridge. Brady of Williston. Brannigan of Georgia. Brigham of St. Albans Town. Brown of Richmond. Burdett of West Rutland. Burke of Brattleboro.
Yes.
Burkhardt of South Burlington.
Yes.
Burrows of West Windsor.
Yes.
Burt of Cabot. Campbell of St. Johnsbury. Canfield of Fairhaven. Pierce Duncan of Whitingham. Casey Montpelier. Casey Hubbardton. Chapin East Montpelier. Charlton of Chester. Christie of Hartford. Sheena of Burlington. Coffin of Cavendish. Cole of Hartford. Conlon of Cornwall. Cooper of Pownell. Corcoran of Bennington. Critchlow of Colchester. DeMar of Venusburg. Dickinson of St. Albans Town. Dobrovich of Williamstown. Dodge of Essex. Dolan of Essex Junction. Dolgan of St. Johnsbury. Donahue of Northfield. Duke of Burlington. Durfee of Shaftesbury. Eastus of Guilford. Emmons of Springfield. Feltus of Linden. Guffetti Berrytown. Carafano of Essex. Bowman of Rockingham. Goodnow of Brattleboro. Ghostland of Northfield. Granning of Jericho. Rear of Bennington. Redguire of Fairfield. Hango of Berkshire. Harple of Glover. Harvey of Castleton. Hedrick of Burlington. Higley of Lowell. Holcomb of Norwich. Hooper of Randolph. Houghton of Essex Junction. Howard of Rutland City. Holland of Rutland Town. Boyd of Hartford. Hunter of Manchester. James of Manchester. Kasenska of Brick. Keyser of Rutland City. Kimball Woodstock. Klepner of Burlington. Kornheiser of Brattleboro. Krasnow of South Burlington. Labor of Morgan. Valley of Shelburne. Malone of South Burlington. Lamont of Morristown. LaRush of Franklin. Lipsky of Stowe. Logan of Burlington. Long of Newfane. Long of Milton. Leaders of Lincoln. Luno of St. Albans City. McGuire of Rutland City. I'm sorry, McGuire of Rutland. Thank you. Malaya Pittsford. Marquardt of Coventry. Maslin of Thetford. McCann of Montpelier. McCoy of Pulteney. McGill of Bridport. Mickless of Milton. Mahali of Calais. Minier of South Burlington. Morganella Milton. Morgan Emma Milton. Morris of Springfield. Morrissey of Bennington. Moore of West End. Rowan of Putney. Nelson of Derby. Nielsen of Brandon. Niagara of Bennington. North of Ferrisburg. Moise of Wolcott. Nugent of South Burlington. O'Brien of Tunbridge. Odie of Burlington. Oliver of Sheldon. Olson of Starksboro. Page of Newport City. Parsons of Newberry. Pezzo of Colchester. Pincenot of Dorset. Pouch of Heinsberg. Powers of Waterford. Priestley of Bradford. Pritchard of Pollitt. Quimby of Linden. Rachelson of Burlington. Sackowitz of Randolph. Shai of Middlebury. Scully of Burlington. Sheldon of Middlebury. Sibilia of Dover. Susie of Berrytown. Southworth of Walden. Squirrel of Underhill. Steady of Milton. Stevens of Waterbury. Stone of Burlington. Sweeney of Shelburne. Taglia of Corinth. Taylor Mendon. Taylor Mendon. Tomlinson of Winooski. Torrey Moortown. Walker of Swanton. Wasses of Berry City. Waters Evans of Charlotte. Wells of Brownington. White of Waitsfield. White of Bethel. Winter of Ludlow. Wood of Waterbury. Yakavoni, Morristown. Burdett of West Rutland. Casey of Hubbardton. Christie of Hartford. Donahue of Northfield. Hoyt of Hartford. McKenna Montpelier. Moore of Weston. Niagara of Bennington.
For purpose of explanation, member from Brattleboro.
I vote yes in honor of all the women who fought so hard for this 40 years ago and all the decades preceding, in the ambitious hope that the voters of Vermont will join us in affirming equal rights for all.
Member from Ferrisburg.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I voted yes to ensure that my constituents get to express their vote on this important constitutional amendment. The purpose statement says that this amendment reasserts the principles already reflected in the Vermont Constitution, Chapter 1, Article 1, and Chapter 1, Article 7. And there's no mention of making up for past deficiencies, but focuses us clearly on the future and the present to address existing inequalities, present tense, and to reduce discrimination going forward, future tense, as the bill reporter stated. This is our legislative intent. Thank you, Madam.
Member from Mendon.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I have a lot of words written on my paper, and I'm not going to read it. I believe in my heart, and I'm sorry, the only words that are going to change Vermont and change this world, I believe, come from the Bible. And I think that is what's lacking in the world. True love, peace, how I raise my girls comes from the Bible. I teach them to not judge and to love first and to put yourself second. I believe with every ounce of my being in the words of the Bible.
Member from Westminster.
Speaker, may I explain my vote?
You may.
Madam Speaker, I don't believe I have ever cast a more important vote, a vote to protect the rights of all Vermonters. I find it unfathomable that anyone in our chamber could vote against a proposition to secure human rights for all who live here.
Member from Williston?
May I explain my vote?
You may.
I voted yes on Proposal 4 because I believe every Vermonter should have the opportunity to experience the joy and pride that comes from affirming equal rights for all by casting their vote in November.
Members, please. Member from Burlington?
Madam Speaker, may I explain my vote?
You may.
I voted yes because deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday.
Member from Morristown?
Madam Speaker, may I explain my vote?
You may.
From 3/5 of a person to a whole person, from women's rights to civil rights. I voted yes to put Prop 4 on the ballot and give Vermonters a chance to vote to amend the Constitution. We must remember this will not change human behavior. It will not erase hate, violence, or vitriol. It will, however, hopefully ensure that people, especially people who look like me, will be treated with dignity and fairness based on facts and the content of their character, not based on bias, racism, or any other ism that may exist within some people's hearts and minds.
Members, please listen. Member from Milton?
Madam Speaker, may I explain my vote?
You may.
I voted yes because this vote on the floor body gives all Vermonters the right to decide what they want in their constitution.
Members, please listen to the results of your vote. Those voting yes, 128. Those voting no, 14. The ayes have it, and the constitutional proposal is adopted in concurrence. Next up is Senate Bill 243, which is an act relating to distributing funds to the Vermont Language Justice Project. The bill was referred to the Committee on Human Services, which recommends that the House propose to the Senate to amend the bill as printed in today's calendar. The member from Essex, Representative Garofano, will speak for the committee. Will the House please come to order? And then carrying an appropriation, the bill was then referred to the Committee on Appropriations, which recommended that the report of the Committee on Human Services be amended as printed in today's calendar. The member from Linden, Representative Feltes, will speak for that committee. And then it is my understanding that the member from Linden will be asking leave of the House to withdraw the report of the Committee on Appropriations. Please listen to the second reading of the bill.
S-243, an act relating to distributing funds to the Vermont Language Justice Project.
Member from Essex.
Madam Speaker, the Vermont Language Justice Project was founded in 2020 at the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic to address a critical gap in access to public health information for Vermonters who speak languages other than English. Since its founding, the Vermont Language Justice Project has grown into a statewide network of more than 100 community partners, producing over 250 multilingual public service videos in up to 22 languages, including ASL. Their videos have been viewed more than 227,000 times and distributed through schools, healthcare providers, refugee and immigrant networks, WhatsApp groups, robocall systems, and community organizations across Vermont. The organization has demonstrated the ability to rapidly deliver culturally and linguistically accessible information during emergencies, often within 24 hours, helping ensure immigrant, refugee, and limited English-speaking Vermonters access critical public health and safety information. As Vermont's immigrant and refugee communities continue to grow, S-243 ensures continued access to these critical language justice services for Vermonters who speak languages other than English. The amendment found on page 2700 of today's calendar reflects a practical approach to meeting this need. Section 1 includes findings that recognize Vermont's commitment to refugees and the important role immigrants and refugees play in our economy. It also highlights the critical role the Vermont Language Justice Project plays in ensuring all Vermonters have access to vital health and emergency information. Recognizing that there is existing funding available within the Office of Racial Equity in the state of Vermont, the House amendment removes the Senate appropriation and leverages existing systems and funding to ensure this critical work continues. Section 2 establishes a pathway for state agencies to continue accessing the services of the Vermont Language Justice Project through the Office of Racial Equity. I will be offering an amendment on this section after you hear from your Appropriations Committee. Your Committee on Human Services heard from the sponsor of the bill, Legislative Counsel, Office of Legislative Counsel, Director, Vermont Language Justice Project, Director of Health Equity, Department of Health, Deputy Director, Department of Health, Director, Division of Emergency Management, Department of Public Safety, Administrative and Project Coordinator, Office of Racial Equity, Executive Director, Office of Racial Equity, Executive Director, Hunger Free Vermont. The bill will take effect on July 1, 2026, and your committee vote was 7-0-4 in support of the bill. Your Committee on Human Services respectfully requests your support.
And now speaking for the Committee on Appropriations, member from Linden.
Yes, Madam Speaker. The House Appropriation Committee asks leave of the House to withdraw the amendment that you see on page 2701. And we came to that decision on a straw poll of 10-0-1. Thank you.
Absent objection, leave is granted. Now the member from Essex offers an amendment to the report of the Committee on Human Services that is printed in today's calendar. Member from Essex.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm offering an amendment to Section 2 of S-243. These changes can be found on page 2702 of today's calendar. The amendment proposes several technical changes to clarify this process and ensure compliance with state contracting requirements. Because the Office of Racial Equity will contract with the Vermont Language Justice Project as needed, the amendment changes the language from shall contract to may contract. The amendment also directs the Department of Buildings and General Services to assist Vermont Language Justice Project in navigating the process to become an approved state contractor. In addition, it removes a specific reference to the Division of Emergency Management because once Vermont Language Justice Project becomes an approved state contractor, any state agency would be able to access their services through the Office of Racial Equity. These changes are intended to ensure that the Vermont Language Justice Project can meet all state contracting requirements while continuing to provide critical language access services to Vermonters. The amendment also ensures that the Department of Health, along with other state agencies, will continue to have access to Vermont Language Justice Project's multilingual communication and emergency outreach services when needed. Your Human Services Committee approved the amendment on the straw poll of 803, and we ask for your support.
Member from Linden.
Excuse me. The House Appropriations Committee heard the amendment from the Human Services Committee, and we approved that on a vote of 10-0-1. Thank you.
So the question is, shall the report of the Committee on Human Services be amended as offered by the member from Essex? Are you ready for the question? If so, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it, and you have amended the report of the Committee on Human Services. Now the question is, shall the House propose to the Senate to amend the bill as recommended by the Committee on Human Services as amended? Are you ready for the question? If so, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it, and you have proposed to the Senate to amend the bill. Now the question is, shall the bill be read a third time? Are you ready for that question? If so, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it, and third reading is ordered. Next is House Bill 536, which is an act relating to toxic heavy metals in baby food products. The bill passed the Senate in concurrence with a proposal of amendment that is printed in today's calendar. Member from Derby.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'd like to take this time to report to the body. If you remember when I presented this bill way back in the days of a lot of snow, we talked about Operation Stork Speed, and that was the federal government's way of looking into baby formula and testing to make sure that it was free or tolerances for toxic heavy metals. And the report has since came out while the Senate had this bill, and really, really, really good work done. And our baby formulas essentially are safe. So that's great news, and we can all rest a little easier. So Senate Health and Welfare had this bill, and they did some great work on it, and I want to thank them, or our committee would like to thank them for the subtle changes they made to make a great bill a little bit better. And the changes were, and this bill's on page 2702. They put some safety measures in there for a decline in supply. So while this goes into effect, if we notice that our infant formulas, and the changes are all to the infant formula side, by the way. If we have declining supplies of infant formula, they can waive rules so we don't run out. They also put in nothing in this section shall be construed to conflict with federal law in things like baby formula or food or the herbicides I use. There's rules about labeling and what can be on a label and where it can be on a label, and they all have to be okayed by FDA or USDA or Food and Drug, yeah, that's FDA, or FIFRA or whatnot. So we have to give them time to allow these labeling changes to happen. This shall not restrict the continued sale of infant formula in stock prior to the effective date. So, you know, the stores are stocked up with infant formula, or they got stock in their warehouses. They can continue to roll this out as they make the changes. And if you'll remember with the infant formula, we tied it into either the state of California passing their law or two other states. And then Vermont would go ahead, although we're the first, kinda. The Senate put in there that will not take effect until the law takes effect in California or two other states. So when their law goes into effect, our law goes into effect. We heard from Ledge Council, the Office of Legislative Counsel. We heard from industry reps. We had the chair of Senate Health and Welfare came up and talked to us about it, and we went over it. And the Deputy Attorney General came in and spoke to us and assured us that this bill was solid. So on a straw poll vote of 701, we concur with the Senate, and we ask the body to support it as well. Thank you.
The question is, shall the House concur in the Senate proposal of amendment? Are you ready for the question, member from Georgia?
Thanks, Madam Speaker. I want to thank the Agriculture Committee for using this careful scientific examination of these results that came to them. They didn't just take it for granted. They looked at it using their own backgrounds and information. It gives me a lot of confidence in their recommendations. So I want you to know that I plan to vote yes on this, as I hope the rest of the chamber will as well.
The question is, shall the House concur in the Senate proposal of amendment? Are you ready for the question? If so, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it, and you have concurred in the Senate proposal of amendment. Up next is House Bill 648, which is an act relating to banking, insurance, and securities. Member from Starksboro.
Madam Speaker, I move that we postpone action on H 648 for one legislative day.
The member from Starksboro moves that we postpone action on House Bill 648 for one legislative day. Are you ready for the question? If so, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it, and you have postponed action on House Bill 648. Next is House Bill 639, which is an act relating to genetic data privacy. Member from Starksboro.
Madam Speaker, I move that we postpone action on H 639 for one legislative day.
The member from Starksboro moves that we postpone action on House Bill 639 for one legislative day. Are you ready for the question? If so, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it, and you have postponed action on House Bill 639 until tomorrow. Next is House Bill 739, which is an act relating to prohibiting the use and sale of the herbicide paraquat. The bill passed the Senate in concurrence with a proposal of amendment that is printed in today's calendar. Member from Tunbridge.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. H 739, if you remember, it's an act relating to prohibiting the use and sale of the herbicide paraquat. It passed out of House Ag on a vote of 8-0-0, came here, passed on a voice vote unanimously, and then in its journey went over to Senate Ag. Senate Ag did some good work on it. There are 4 substantive changes they made. First, they axed the findings. The Senate doesn't seem to like findings, so they got rid of those, but that's okay with us. The bill was 6 pages, and now it's 3 pages. Less for the green books. One thing that came up, remember, when it was reported here, we understood that paraquat was being used as a pre-emergent herbicide on in apple orchards on fruit trees to kill weeds around the base of nursery trees. Well, it turned out it's also used in Vermont by some berry growers, strawberries specifically. And the Senate had some witnesses in, and because of what they heard, they wanted to include our strawberry farmers as farmers who, with the right permitting, with approved permitting, could use paraquat in very limited ways. The third, the Agricultural Innovation Board was tasked with finding alternatives for the use of paraquat in a study and reporting back to the agricultural committees. This study group was also shown the door, and we felt that was fine too, given that it can still happen. It just doesn't have to happen with legislatively approved statutes. And last, we had the ban would go into effect November 1st, 2030, and the Senate Ag Committee moved it to December 31st, 2030, just 1 month later, or a little bit more than 1 month later, just to coincide with a calendar year. So we appreciate the Senate Agriculture's thoughtful edits and their overall support of this phase out to a ban on paraquat in Vermont. And for that reason, the House Committee on Agriculture, Food Resiliency, and Forestry concurred with the Senate proposal of amendment and by a straw poll vote of 6-0. And we would appreciate this body supporting this bill. Thank you.
The question is, shall the House concur in the Senate proposal of amendment? Are you ready for the question? If so, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it, and you have concurred in the Senate proposal of amendment. Up next is House Bill 952, which is an act relating to capital construction and state bonding budget adjustment. The bill passed the Senate in concurrence with the proposal of amendment that is printed in today's calendar. Member from Springfield.
Madam Speaker, the other body has made some changes to our capital bill. A lot of it dealt with the money. They moved a lot of the money around in certain projects, particularly in the Department of Corrections. They cut some funding that we had for Wi-Fi in the Department of Corrections. And also they changed some money around for the 3-acre parcel. And they also added some policy language in the back of the bill that dealt with stormwater utility that we need to do some work on. So, Madam Speaker, your Committee on House Corrections and Institutions on a straw vote of 10-0-1, move that we not concur with the Senate proposal of amendment and set up a conference committee.
The member from Springfield moves that the House refuse to concur in the Senate proposal of amendment and that a committee of conference be appointed. Are you ready for the question? If so, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it, and you have refused to concur in the Senate proposal of amendment and requested a committee of conference. Pursuant to your action, the chair appoints the following members to serve on the part of the House: the member from Springfield, Representative Emmons; the member from Bennington, Representative Morrissey; and the member from South Burlington, Representative Menier. Member from Poultney, due to the time-sensitive nature of this bill, can you please offer us a motion to suspend our rules to message our action on House Bill 952 to the Senate forthwith?
Madam Speaker, I make a motion to suspend rules in order to message our actions on H 952 to the Senate forthwith.
The member from Poultney moves that we suspend our rules to message our action on House Bill 952 to the Senate forthwith. Are you ready for the question? If so, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it, and you have suspended rules to message our action on House Bill 952 to the Senate forthwith. Members, at this time, we are going to take a brief recess to ensure that S212 is ready or find out if it's not ready. So the House will stand in recess until the fall of the gavel, approximately 10 minutes.